Good evening. It's good to see you here tonight. I'm excited about tonight, about worshiping with you guys and what God's got in store for us. And one thing that we've got is a little bit different. So I'll let Keauna come up and do that. But first, I'm just going to say a prayer to open this up. God, we thank you for this time. Thank you for what you have planned for us. Thank you for the plan that you have, not just for tonight and for the ways that you can touch us and speak to us in this time, but also as we leave here, as we go throughout our days and our weeks, God, that we will be mindful of you and that we'll see you at work in our lives and in the lives of people around us, God. God, we just pray that tonight will be a springboard for that, whether we need a refreshing, a renewal, whether we need just some encouragement, God, renewed energy, God, whatever it is, you know it. You know what we need. You know exactly where we are, and you know exactly where we're going and where you want us to go. God, I pray that we'll just let you take us there. In your name, amen.
Amen. Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. I'm standing. Today is Pentecost Sunday. Today's a big day. Today's the day where we remember how God answers prayers, how he's faithful to do what he says. Today's the day remember that we are not left alone, and he is not dead, and he is still working, and he is still moving today. So because of that, we're going to start out with a testimony this evening. I'm going to have Tony come on up here, please. God is doing things all the time. And if any of you ever have a testimony that you would like to share, let me know. We believe that the testimony is Jesus do it again and again and again. So we're going to have him share what God is doing in his life recently.
Amen.
Thank you, Tony.
I'm nervous.
Don't be nervous.
Huh?
Don't be nervous.
I'm nervous. So, I don't know, at one point in time, I don't know, I thought I had the strongest faith in the world, but then I guess, like, God kind of showed me it wasn't as strong as I needed it to be. So I came here one weekend and I thought everybody was looking at me, so I didn't receive my blessing. So I came here next week and this angel lady prayed for me. She told me some things, baby. And so, okay, I went back to work, and so this day, like normally when I go to work, I work in the kitchen. So normally when I go to work, like everything, like I come in and like, Tony, make the trays. And then, because we cook chicken all day, every day. So I come in, I'm making the trays, and usually, like when the cooks, when they take all the stuff off the grill, usually they move the racks, they move them like, kind of like, I had space to work, but for some reason today, like, that day, the whole scene changed. Like, I look back and like everything is like right behind me. And I'm tripping because I can't really see nobody, but I know I can just see chicken. So I'm like, man, so they open up the door, and they hand me the trays. And I'm like, man, I'm taking the trays. I'm not really thinking about I'm taking the trays, and just so I'm making them. I gotta put this wax paper inside the trays so you put the chicken on it. And for some reason, I grabbed the trays and I dropped them. Like, I came back and I was like, boom, and they were like, clink. And everybody in the kitchen was like looking, and they was like, man, what's going on? So I was kind of embarrassed because I just got there, and I'm like, man, it's bad. I'm dropping stuff already. I just got here. And so I came here, and once I got prayed for, and they prayed for me, and so the next day I woke up in the morning, and actually she told me, she was like, God's going to speak to you when you're alone. So I went home and I was kind of waiting for him to say, hey. So it didn't happen. It didn't happen. I didn't doubt it, but it didn't happen. So the next morning I woke up and I was like, God, just give me the strength. You know what I'm saying? Give me to stay strong while I'm at work and not be dropping stuff and fumbling and stumbling and bumbling to the workplace. So when I went to work, they was like, all right, Tony, they like, scrape her. I gotta grab this big metal fork and scrape the grill. So I'm scraping the grill, and then I go in at 6 o'clock in the morning, so about 6:30, I was scraping the grills, like the grills are like 10 feet long, it's like 4 of them, and they got these thick steel rods in them, so I'm scraping the grill, boom, 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 and one of them snapped, clink, clink, and it broke. And it broke, you know what I'm saying? So everybody, like, they stopped cooking, and they bring the mechanics in, and all the mechanics coming in, they're like, what happened to the grill? And they're like, it broke. So that's when I realized, I thought about it, I was like, oh, that's what she was talking about, because he answered me. Like, I asked him for strength, he gave me the strength.
All right. God does work. Yeah, God does. And he answers our prayers. Sometimes a little different than we expect. Take me past the outer courts into the holy place, past the brazen altar. Lord, I want to see your face. Pass me by the crowds of people, the priests who sing your praise. Lord, I hunger and thirst for your righteousness, and it's only found in one place. Take me into the holy, holy. Take me in by the blood of the Lamb. Take me into the holy, holy. Take me, Lord, my lips, here at take me past the outer court into the holy place, past the brazen altar. Lord, I want to see your face. Pass me by the crowds of people and the priests who sing your praise. Lord, I hunger and thirst for your righteousness, and it's only found in one place. Lord, I come, I confess, bowing here, I find my rest. Without you, I fall apart. You're the one that guides my heart. And Lord, I need you. Oh, I need you. Every hour I need Let's bow our heads. Father God, we come before you, Lord. We bless you. We praise you, Lord. We bless you. You bless us constantly. Now we get to bless you, Father. We bless you by worshiping you. We bless you by praising you. We bless you by lifting up our hands and letting everyone know that you are God. And there's no one like you, Father. You are the one true God, Father. And we bless you and we thank you, Lord. Thank you for today. Thank you for this hour. We bless it. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
Good evening again, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Feels good in here tonight. The presence of the Lord. You know, today's a good day. On Pentecost, in Acts, the Holy Spirit came like a rushing wind. Came like tongues of fire. The Holy Spirit is so sweet. And God is so good and so faithful that we can experience this presence of God, just his touch. We can feel him inside of us. And that's an amazing gift. And that's never ending. There's no limit on it. It's not once. It's again, and it's again, and it's again, because he is radically generous. And he wants to pour out on his children. I had a great time this morning. I actually got to kind of be a part of a family affair at another church in Vacaville. A family brought me their 12-year-old daughter who just really was hungry for more of God. And there's nothing more exciting than to see a 12-year-old standing in front of me and saying, I just want more of God. That's like the best day ever. That's a good day. So we got to circle around her and pray for her, baptize her in the Holy Spirit, and just really watch her experience the presence of God for the first time. And it was beautiful. And I started to think about how God does such good things for us. And through his son, we have so much. But then I thought, what was it like to be him? What was it really like to be Jesus? Because we read the stories in the Bible, and I'm guilty of it too, quick to get to the end game. I want the happy ending. I want to know what happened. Did they raise from the dead? Did they get healed? Like, I just want the end. What's the end of it? But I was reading over Mark this past week, and I didn't get very far because my heart was just kind of ripped open with compassion because I saw what it was like in a day to just be Jesus. So I want to look at the same story, but from two sides this evening of what it was like to be the Lord coming to be our Savior. What was it like to experience that walking here on earth? So we're going to start in Mark 1:32. So I didn't get that far. That evening after sunset, many sick and demon-possessed people were brought to Jesus. The whole town gathered at the door to watch. So Jesus healed many people who were sick with various diseases, and he cast out many demons. But because the demons knew who he was, he did not allow them to speak. So, I have read this many times. I don't know how many times, but for some reason it stopped me in my tracks this past week. Because I was moved with compassion for the Lord, but also amazement for his power. Amen. Because it says that it's after sunset that evening, so it's already been a long day. It's not first thing in the morning. He may have been traveling. He's probably tired. And that evening, after sunset, when it's already getting dark, here come all the people. And it's not just people to bless him. It is not his family to give him a feast, to be like, yes, Jesus is here, you're awesome. No, it's the sickest of the sick. It's those people coming to see him. It's the demon-possessed. It's those people coming to see him. I bet it was a little chaotic. Probably wasn't pretty. Probably wasn't a ton of fun. And they're all coming to see Jesus. Not only that, it says that the whole town is standing at the door to watch him. What's he going to do? What's he going to do? The other side is people coming desperate for a touch of the Lord. These are people that were oppressed. These are people that were sick, that were tormented. It says that they were brought to Jesus, meaning these are people that were brought probably by friends and family members that loved them, that were tired of them being sick, that needed something from the risen Lord. So they're coming, and they're coming, and they're pressing in, and they're watching. Some want to see if he's real, I bet. Some want to see what he's going to do. Some just want to be in his presence. I bet if Jesus was walking around, we would all kill ourselves to get in his presence. We'd be jumping over each other, like, get out of my way. Jesus is here. Quite a mob. And in that instance, this is what he's faced with. And with his authority and with his sovereign power and with opposition at every side, and with things getting scary, he just does what he does. He heals. He sets people free. But not only that, he exercises his authority. He's not afraid to be backed up against a wall. Just like we don't need to be afraid to be backed up against the wall. That same authority that is in Jesus is in you and it's in me.
Amen.
We don't have to be afraid when the people come at all sides saying things about us. We don't have to be afraid from the lies and the critics and the haters. We don't have to be afraid. Even when the demons come. It says that the demons knew who he was, so he didn't even allow them to speak. He's not afraid. Not only is he not afraid, not only is he not backing up, but he's like, I'm going to set these people free and heal them and zip it. I don't know if you know this. Demons like to cause a show. They like to be all loud and in your face. They like to be all, ah. Jesus was having none of that. He's like, absolutely not. Not here, not in this place, not right now. This is where my people are going to be made whole. That was the heart of Jesus. That is where we are, desperate for a touch from him. And his response is always yes.
Amen.
It's yes, and it's yes. And all the things that are attacking you, zip it. I'm going to put my hand on it because they are under my authority. That's who Jesus is. And that's what Jesus does. And I just love him. Love him for that. But this doesn't mean that it's easy. Because it's a little tricky. You know, being Jesus, it's a little tricky being human, dealing with this kind of thing. And it says, even in verse 35, just kidding. Before daybreak the next morning, because, you know, it's been a long night, Jesus got up and went out to an isolated place to pray. Later, Simon and the others went out to find him. And when they found him, they said, everyone is looking for you. So here are the disciples, looking for Jesus. Everyone's waiting. Everyone wants something from you. Where you at? What's going on? I wonder if the crowd was pestering them. When's he coming back? Where to go? It's interesting that Jesus called people to follow him, but Jesus was unpredictable. He had a habit of slipping away, and they're like, where is he? People need something from you. But Jesus needed something. So he slips away, and he goes to speak with his Father. Because after he is ministering all night and operating in the gifts of the Spirit, and his body is tired, and his spirit might be tired, so he has to get away and go to the Father. But yet the disciples see, people need, everyone's waiting for you. Ministry can be such a show sometimes. Everyone's watching, everyone's waiting. What are you going to do? He just wanted to be in the presence of his Father. See, Jesus knew what was important. He knew it was important enough to pray. And prayer takes on so many different levels and characteristics, but I was kind of blown away by how good God is with prayer this past week. So Heather and I lead a prayer meeting at another church in Vacaville, and a woman was there on Monday, and I walked in, and she seemed very upset, and she was the only one that was there. She was there before we were there. And I knew, okay, I'm supposed to do something here, right? Let me just figure out what this is. So I sit, start speaking to the Lord. What am I supposed to say? Trying to get a word for her, you know, whatever. While I'm sitting there waiting for a word, she gets up and leaves. And I'm like, oh, I missed it. And it bothered me all week long. So I'm texting with her, and we were in communication. I'm texting her prayers. I'm praying for you, blah, blah, blah. But still, I felt like there was unfinished business. There was still something left to do. And so Friday, I go to drop off my daughter at the same church at a youth event, and I figure, I have a meeting, I have some time to kill. I'll go sit in the car in my AC, not a rental car, sit in my AC and just get some work done. But I started to hear the Spirit saying, go to the prayer room, go to the prayer room. And I'm like, why am I going to go to the prayer room right now? On a Friday night, there's nobody there. I don't have that much time. It's not like I can sit and I have a meeting in 15 minutes, right? I'm like, I don't know if I have time for this. But yet, when you hear from the Lord, I missed it once. I wasn't going to miss it again. So I started to be convicted. All right, I'm going. No matter what, I'll just sit there. Whatever. I'll just wait there for 15 minutes. And I opened the door. And there she is. And I thought, And the Lord spoke to me as soon as the door opened, second chance. I said, yes, he is so good. Because it was stirring up in me and it was killing me that I did not get to speak to this woman. And I'm friends with her, but I just felt like there was something we needed to do, something that needed to be taken care of. So we make small talk and we're chatting and things are fine. And I say, okay, well, I gotta leave soon. However, I'm not letting you get out of here until I pray for you. So she's like, sweet. She comes on over. I start to pray for her. And as I'm praying for her, she's getting more and more excited. And she starts crying. And she's getting more and more excited, but she's trying to be quiet because she's recording it for later. And I don't understand what the whole deal is. I'm just like, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. It has nothing to do with me. So then at the end of it, she says, I just have to show you something. And she goes in her purse and she takes out what looks like a scroll. And she had written down all of these promises that God had made her. All of these prophetic words that people had spoken over her. And she said that she had been in the prayer room crying out for a second chance. And then I walked in and said, hey, we have a second chance. And she knew right there that the Lord was about to do something. She was dry and needed to hear confirmation about the things that God already said. That was my appointment. I didn't know what it was, but that was my appointment. And all it was a prayer. But this is how powerful it is. And if Jesus saw the value in it, how much more should we see the value in getting together in prayer? And so, there is something very real and raw about coming to the altar and saying, Lord, I surrender. Here it is. Here's everything. Here's all of me. Take it. We got to get to that place, and regularly. However, when 2 or 3 are together, there's something that happens in prayer sometimes where we can hear the word of the Lord because we're not the ones that are boggled down in the mess and the doubt and the lies and the condemnation. Someone else can speak clearly sometimes, straight to the heart of what we need to hear. Prayer is so important. So that's what Jesus was doing. But yet his disciples are going, what you gonna do? Everybody's waiting. They need to show. But they were missing the whole point. So he responds to them. No, Jesus is gracious. He tells them, what does he say? We must go on to other towns as well. This is verse 38. And I will preach to them too. This is why I came. So he traveled throughout the region of Galilee, preaching in the synagogues and casting out demons. I love that Jesus was swarmed with people. And it doesn't stop him. He's swarmed with responsibility. And it didn't shake him. He kept on moving. He kept on going forward. And he kept on doing what his Father wanted him to do. A lot of us will go through a situation we get shaken. That has happened to me before. You get shaken in fear and you're like, I'm never going to do that again. I know I could and it would probably be okay, but I'm just not going to risk it. It's not good enough. Jesus was so bold and so confident in who he is and who his Father is. And that's what the Lord wants for us, not to be walking around in fear, to give our heart to somebody, not to be honest, not to be vulnerable. He wants us to have freedom because we already have the power. So why not be free with it? That's what he does. Mark chapter 2, 13, I was looking at this, and this is again, Jesus is showing his heart. Showing how he goes about his business. It's amazing that he's going about his business. This was his life. But yet he's impacting people and transforming and changing lives just like we can do today. It says in Mark 2:13, once again, Jesus went out beside the lake. And a large crowd came to him, and he began to teach them. As he walked along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at a tax collector's booth, doing his job. Follow me, Jesus told him, and Levi got up and followed him. So the crowds are there again. And he's like, all right, they're following me, here we go. He starts teaching them. He's teaching them, he's teaching